Okay, yesterday we started lesson 1.2 and we were looking at the order of operations. Before you get started, you're going to need a couple of things. First, you're going to need your notebook. So open it up to the pages you were working on yesterday, and you're going to need a sharp pencil. Now, if you remember from yesterday, we talked about the order of operations, and our learning target was to use PEMDAS to simplify exponents and evaluate expressions. And we reviewed what each of these letters, PEMDAS, means. And we did a couple of examples. We left off with example 3, and it looked like this. You should have this written in your notes, and if you don't, go ahead and hit the pause button and get this example copied down, and then we'll take a look at it. Alright, to evaluate an expression, the word evaluate means to replace each of the variables with a given value or a given number. So in this problem, x squared plus x minus 12 divided by y squared, you're going to replace the values of x with 5, and you're going to replace the values of y with 2. The biggest piece about this problem that most people mess up on is this. Each time you see a letter, what I'd like you to do is replace it with the number, but you're going to put it in parentheses. So in place of this x, I'm going to put a 5 in parentheses and then square it. Plus, in place of this x, I'm going to put a 5 in parentheses, minus 12 divided by, now you're going to replace this y with a value of 2, but you're going to put it in parentheses and square it. Now that you've replaced all the letters with numbers, now it just becomes an order of operations problem just like you did in the previous examples. So I'm going to go through this problem and I'm going to find all of the parentheses. Well, you see a whole bunch of parentheses, but there's really no work inside the parentheses. So we're going to go down to exponents. You have several of them. 5 to the second power is 25. Plus 5 minus 12, I'm skipping past all these numbers because they don't have exponents in them, divided by 2 to the second power is 4. Now you're going to look for multiplication and division. This is addition, this is subtraction. Here's your first division. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I'm just going to rewrite the whole problem. Now you're looking for addition and subtraction. You work from left to right. 25 plus 5 is 30. 30 minus 3 is 27. And that's it. So once again, to evaluate the expression, all you do is replace a letter with a number. Here's the next example. Now take a minute to copy this down, hit the pause button, and when you're ready, after it's been copied, you can hit play again. So in this problem you have x, y in parentheses, and that's being squared. Remember, a letter next to a letter or a letter next to a number means to multiply, so this really means x times y. And in place of x, I'm going to put 5, and in place of y, I'm going to put 2. So here's what that looks like. In place of x, I put 5. In place of y, I put 2. And all of that is being raised to the second power. So I'm going to do the work inside the parentheses. That's the P in PEMDAS. 5 times 2 is 10. And that's still in parentheses. Raised to the second power. 10 to the second power is 10 times 10, or 100. And that's example 3, or problem 3. Now for problem 4, this is a story problem. go ahead and take a second and copy down the whole story problem in your notebook. Hit the pause button as you copy it down, and then when you're ready, you can hit the play button again. Okay, this problem says, what's an expression for the spending money that you have left after depositing 2/5 of your wages into savings? So really the first step in solving this problem is to figure out what is the expression. So it says, what is an expression for spending money? Well, they want to know what you have left after you deposit 2/5 of your wages into savings. So if I just draw a circle, a fraction circle, and I split it into 5 parts, this can represent the money in your savings, or the money that you have total that you've been paid. And it says after you've deposited 2/5 of your wages. Well, if you deposit 2/5 of your wages, what do you have left? Well, if you deposit 2/5, then you have 3/5 left. So you end up having 3/5 of, which means times, your wages. That's the expression that represents the spending money that you have left after you've deposited 2/5 of your wages. You have 3/5 left. And then it says evaluate it for each of these weekly wages: 40, 50, 75, and 100. So at this point you have to take the 40 and put it in place of the W and figure out what the answer is, and then take the 50, put it in place of the W, 75, and so on. So I'm going to do the first one for you, and then I'm going to let you finish it. So the first answer is when W, that's your wages, equals 40. So you replace the W in this expression with 40. Now when you multiply a fraction by a whole number, you always write the whole number over 1. And then when you multiply two fractions together, all you do is multiply the top numbers. 3 times 40, that equals 120. And then you multiply the bottom numbers. 5 times 1, that equals 5. Now that's a great answer, except not very many people say, hey, how much money do you have? Oh, I've got about 125ths. So you have to reduce this number so it's actual a reasonable answer for the problem. 120 divided by 5 ends up being $24. Now your job is to take this same expression, 3/5 W, and replace the W with 50, 75, and 100. So hit the pause button, and then when you're ready, I'll come back with the answer. Okay, I'm not going to go through each of the problems and show you all the work. I'm just going to give you the answer so you can check your work. When you put 50 in for W, your answer should have been $30. And when you put 75 in for W, your answer should have been $45. And substituting or evaluating W when, or this expression when W equals 100, your answer should have been $60. So that's it for the notes for lesson 1.2. I will give you the assignment in class.